Chicano Squad is a two-night special on A&E that tells the story of bilingual police rookies in Houston who rewrote history. Jose Selvera, one of the original members of the All-Latin Homicide Department, joining me now to chat about it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me here, sir. I'm
Let's
glad
start.
to be here.
Let's talk a little bit about set the scene, 1979. A little bit about your career and what you were seeing in Houston at that time.
79, Houston was a murder capital. We had a rash of Hispanic murders out there that were sitting unsolved in homicide.
As far as you left the military, tell us a little bit about how you got into the police department.
Well, they took 5 police officers from patrol. Originally, we came up there as translators, interpreters. Within 3 days, they gave us our cases and run with it, go get it done, and they saw that we could get it done.
I mean, that's a crime, and especially looking back at that time. I mean, sometimes when you're young and you're just doing it, you're in the thick of it. But at what point, maybe 5 years later, 10 years after this, did you have a moment to sit back and reflect and like, I can't believe what we were able to accomplish?
Well, here we are 45 years later, and now that they've put together this documentary, and I thank my son Sergio for doing that, I realized that we did do some good work. The community stands behind us now, and they're showing their gratitude for what we've done. And I'm glad we had the opportunity to do that because I've worked for one of the best police departments in the nation.
Talk a little bit about the language barrier, what was going on in Houston at the time, and how that maybe contributed to what we were seeing down there.
The language barrier was there. I can relate to that because my parents were immigrants. They spoke nothing but Spanish, and I understood the dilemma that the people were working with because they were not able to communicate. The Chicano Squad was able to go out into the community and reach out to them and say, here we are, we're here to help you. And they responded and we were successful.
Talk a little bit about, being there in the community, talking to them, gaining the trust of the public, because obviously, we've seen different parts in history where there's been that disconnect between the people and the police department. But talk a little bit about, maybe the impact of what the Chicano Squad did.
See, back in the 70s, there was no social media. We had to go knock and talk. We had to go knock on the door and speak to the little lady that maybe was out there watering her lawn and maybe sit on the rocking chair, and she knew what was going on in the neighborhood. Reach out to her and she would say, look, I don't want to get involved, but see that little house over there? That's where you need to go to find out. That got the job done. Knock on the doors, talk to people.
I'm going to tell you that the very first episode, that part when you're talking about visiting the little old lady, that there was always somebody in the neighborhood who knows something, who saw something. It may not be the person who you think is going to talk, but there's always a grandma or a senora out there who has that information.
Exactly. And like I said, I can go back to my childhood days. Mom, there were no sprinklers back then. Mom would be watering the plants, but she knew what was in the neighborhood. Comadres would speak with each other and information was there. You just got to find the right person.
What was it like to reconnect with everybody? Did everybody stay in touch over the past 45 years? Did you grow apart? I mean, or was this something that you guys do regularly and we just got to see it on screen?
The original 5 guys had always kept in touch. We were a tight group, still are a tight group. We worked hard. There were some other people followed behind. Some came, some left. But the original 5 guys that came up there were a tight group. We were a brotherhood. We worked together, and we still keep in touch.
The thing that I love too is that, when you have a police officer in the neighborhood who makes himself known, where there's the trust, is that it also inspires the youth to want to take that same direction in their career. Did you find that, over the years of maybe other police officers who maybe, either saw you or heard your story, who also followed in your footsteps?
It's find it rewarding because now here we are doing this documentary, and I've gone back and talked to police chiefs in the police department. And I'm 73 now, but I've talked to police chiefs that said, hey, I remember seeing you on the news when I was in high school or I was back in elementary school. And now for them sitting there telling us, hey, I became a police officer because of you. I said, that's great.
I mean, this was, some rewarding work that you did, and we get to see that in the documentary, but it didn't come without its challenges from inside the police department, from racism, from, people not wanting these rookies to succeed, and maybe not giving you the credit that you deserve. Talk a little bit about what we're going to see in the documentaries.
The documenters, you're going to see that we've earned the respect of the community. You're going to see some emotional side of what police officers go through doing police work. You see a lot of cop movies, but in this documentary, you're going to see how it affects police work, particularly guys in my squad, because working homicide, in my opinion, you never win because you always lose a human being. There's closure, but then there's no closure because we've lost a life.
Are there any stories? Is it all of them? Is it, parts of them that still kind of haunt you or resonate with you or that you think about on a regular basis?
I like to think about the positive that we did with the cases. There are cases that we've worked. There's a little girl named Liliana Reyes who's now has her own family. We rescued this little kidnapped little girl that was taken to Mexico. We located her. We brought her back. That's unheard of. This had never been done before. And now we've had the privilege to sit there and say, Liliana, we're the guy. Raymond and I worked that case. Ray Gonzalez. So here we are. You were the baby we carried, and we brought you back to mama.
You want to hear about the struggles, what happened, what the scene was like, but it was also wonderful to have those moments there that you can share a positive story as well.
Yes, and I tell you what, I'm so glad to be here. I'm glad that the community is proud of us. We've received some proclamations there and several awards and plaques that they've given us through the years. But this moment, I realized what we have done. I got to give thanks to my son, who was really the driving force behind this. He brought it forward and says, hey, somebody's got to know the story. And someday my grandchild said, hey, that was grandfather did that.
That is amazing. Well, Jose, thank you so much for your time today. The Chicano Squad, Monday, September 2nd and Tuesday, September 3rd on A&E.
Thank you so much for having me, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day.